Yeah, did you get it?
Yes, I did.
Okay, sweet. Now you can have it.
Ricky.
Um, wait, that's cool that of course you're, I guess upgrading your diet because I'm doing the same exact thing and I'm not doing it like forcefully at all. It's just like I'm looking at certain things. Actually, you know what it is, Nicole? Is like I started learning about Ayurveda. Have you heard about Ayurveda?
Oh, I've known Ayurveda for many, many years because it goes hand in hand with yoga. It's
I
like
figured you have.
yoga, right? So that's been my path for quite a while. I was working Ayurvedically,
Mm.
and now I kind of want like another step further, like a little bit more drastic. But yeah, so have
Oh
you
wow.
figured out what your dosha is and all that? Are you eating that way?
Yeah, well, okay. I'm learning slowly. So I figured that I naturally am it's Vata, Pitta, Kapha, right?
Right.
So the foods I naturally tend toward are Vata foods, but a lot of the times I spend a lot of my energy in Pitta, just like the way I do things, like the way I learn, the way I do anything. I'm just very, very focused and fiery, fiery. And so I'm actually kind of just still learning about it. Like and also the time of the day, I posted on my refrigerator. So it's like, I'm confused. If it's a Vata time of the day, should you eat to balance that or should you eat Vata foods?
If it's a Vata time of day, this is my understanding of it. If it's a Vata time of day, then that's when you would utilize the essence of Vata to accomplish what you want in your life. So Vata
Okay, okay.
creativity, right? Like it's like this, like all this
Fast.
movement, doing stuff. Maybe it's going for a run, like whatever it is, then you would do it at that time of day, right?
Got it. Got it.
Like eating wise, pitta, noon, like the highest point where the sun is highest in the sky is when you should eat because your digestive fire is most strong at that point.
Mm.
So it would be the most beneficial time for your body to burn the calories and utilize them, if that makes
Mhm. Mhm.
and then kapha, obviously you're doing kapha like things. Like that's like the evening where it is time to kind of ground and get quiet and slumber. And
Mhm.
just living in harmony with that clock is my
Ah.
understanding of it. And then what you're talking about is when you have an excess of something. So
Mhm.
some people are just tridoshic. They're just a great balance of all three things and whatever. But some of us have like imbalances where we're strongly one thing and then strongly not another thing. And like
Mhm.
anything in life, you want to have balance, right?
Mhm.
So that's when you would try to eat to complement, like to do the opposite of and balance out your tendencies. So, for instance, if you're really a Vata person, like I'm pretty Vata,
Mhm.
when you're a Vata person, you're windy, you're airy, you're moving around a lot, right? And then if you're also eating that way, the Ayurvedic idea is that you would then maybe have problems. Like you might have
Mm.
digestive problems, your skin might become dry, your hair might dry out. So then in order to balance that, you would do kind of the opposite. So in my mind, the sort of the it's not really an opposite, but sort of like the complementary thing to Vata is Kapha. You would eat more
Mhm.
cooked foods, stews, things that are more wet and nourishing and rooted.
Mhm.
It's like if you think of a tree, like instead of the wind that's blowing the leaves, go to the trunk and the root of the tree. So kind of
Mhm.
balance that out. So and it's a beautiful practice. I mean, even just the daily
Yeah.
practices, if you've done like in the morning, I dry brush, I oil my skin, I tongue scrape, just some of the basic
Mm.
Ayurveda teaches for what's called dinacharya. Dinacharya,
Mhm.
I can't pronounce it.
Mhm.
Dinacharya is just like self care. But no, beautiful practice. It's a beautiful way of life that we really all should just that should be like our baseline for how to live.
Totally. Get to know it. What I like about it is it's so specialized. Like it's so there's so many categories. It's like they have these different names, right? For I can't even describe it. I watched one video on it so far, and I'm just kind of trying to integrate that into my life and then learn more. But I don't know. It's just like it's funny because like we grew up in our culture and we remember the food pyramid, like how crazy that is. Like everyone eat this food pyramid, but this one's like no, not everyone is the same. Some people are more naturally inclined to this.
And at different times of your life, you'll be inclined to do different things in different, like, depending where you are mentally,
Right, right,
something else physically. It's just so much more intuitive, is what it is.
right,
And
right.
but so I've gone like that was kind of how I tended to be in the first place. It was based on that, just because it went along with what I've learned. And I started doing an actual Ayurvedic what's it called, like certification, like to be an Ayurvedic
Uh-huh. Consultant.
practitioner is what they call it. Um,
Uh-huh.
and but then that came at a really weird time in my life when everything was kind of falling apart, so I had to give that up. But so now what I'm doing is I've kind of gone off that and I've gone into I listen to some videos and I follow a group of people who are trying to get their bodies more alkaline, because
Mm,
in an alkaline body where there's not this acidic state, there's not as much chance for dis-ease to,
mm,
and so you start to kill off the parasites, you kill off like anything that's inside of your digestive tract that's not serving you. And the idea is that when you go into just juicing, which I'm not at, but just juicing, your body has so much more energy because it's not spending the energy digesting and trying to cleanse you. It's
mm.
not so much in like this working digestive tract thing. So the energy gets freed up to go into everything else. And let me tell you, like the bit of it that I'm doing, oh my gosh, the last month of my life, I've been like,
Really?
yeah, it's phenomenal.
Wow.
Like
Sweet.
I'm lit all the time, not all the time, a lot. Like
Well, you naturally are that way. So this is just like helping not bring you down. Is that what you're noticing?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly it. That's
Mm,
exactly it. Because
yeah.
like, kind of the idea too is to not eat anything dead, right? So
Okay.
if you think about a piece of bread, dead, right? Pretzels, dead. Um,
Oh, dead.
meat, fish, all that stuff. I mean, I still would always eat fish. I haven't eaten meat in a long time, but I still eat fish. But just the idea of like when you're consuming the blood of an animal or the flesh of an animal, you're eating a dead thing, so you're putting it into
Mm-hmm.
your body. So get away from that
Mm-hmm.
and go to the life. And where is the life?
Mm-hmm.
It's in plants. It's in like the chlorophyll of my juices. You know, like
Mm.
that's eating
Mm.
sunlight. It's eating raw. It's eating
Right.
raw, but raw, R-A. You know,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
it's eating the light of God. It's what you're taking into your body, and it's been like truly enlightening. Like
Totally.
light in has made me feel lit up, and I was like, "Oh, am I going to go without eating so much?" Because my it kind of kills your social life. I got to tell you, like
Oh, totally.
fun. I want to get a margarita and some like
Right.
pasta.
Chips and salsa, chips and guac or something, and you're just like, nope, none of it.
I'm still doing chips and guac because guac is
Okay, good.
part of my meal. Like I it's hard to eat guac, and I eat like chips that are like dried vegetables, like
Totally.
so but eating that light has just made me feel like literally enlightened. I feel so much brighter, and like you said, there's not this heaviness hanging
Hmm.
on to me as much anymore. And I don't
Yeah.
know if it's because of the diet or just because of where I am in my life, I have no idea, but it's been quite a month.
Oh, are you still there?
Yep.
Okay. It's kind of, I feel like it literally just goes hand in hand. Like instead of pinpointing what it is, because I'm going through the same thing that I I really never looked at my diet, or never really do look at my diet. Like I should do this because of this. I don't have that type of guilt. And I know a lot of people do suffer from that guilt, but I just don't. So I dropped off meat about a year ago just because I was like, I just can't take a bite into it. I just can't do it because I'm just thinking about the animal.
I know.
And it's more just like I'm biting on like anyway, I can't. So it just recently I started looking at fish like that, and I'm like, oh God, fish is leaving too. And so I'm like, okay, like so I have it's probably been maybe a month, and I just don't have any desire. And I love fish. I love sushi so much, you know? But it's just like I don't know. So now I'm just eating a ton of legumes, which I've always have. You know, I've always eaten very hearty things. Like I love lentils and beans, and I love vegetables. Love them, love them, love them. One thing I don't understand is in terms of like the karma or the whatever you get from eating, not get, but you introduce into your body from eating something dead. Isn't the plant dead when you eat it? Or is like when you pull it out of the root? You know what I mean? I don't know. I've never understood that.
I get that too. Like, and my kids will say that too. They're like, "Well, mom, technically, we killed this carrot to eat it." And I'm like, "I know.
Well, I mean, yeah,
We would live on air and water, but I'm not there yet. So
right,
trying to like, I'm trying to get myself to clean, and so this is
right.
a step in clean I can get to. So that's why this concept of being like a frugivore is what they call it eventually, is that you live on fruit, because when you eat the fruit of
Mm.
something, you're not killing the plant. It's just
Oh,
its fruit. You're eating the grapes, but the grapevine keeps growing. You're eating the
yes.
watermelon, and the vine so you're not killing eventually. I'm just not there yet.
My friend was my new friend. We did a sass ceremony together. Have you ever heard of sassafras? Okay, it's just like a beautiful experience. But we sat in like a ceremony together pretty recently, and she's super in tune with like all things holistic, and she told me the same thing about fruit, and I was like, if that's the case, I am set. I love fruit, right?
And I've been
Oh,
so messed with, like, we've been told for so many years that, like, don't eat too much fruit because that's
oh
sugar,
God.
and sugar will feed the candida in your body and you will get acne and you'll have crashes. When I tell you,
Yeah.
it's called juice feasting is what this is
Uh-huh.
called, because you're just allowed to drink as much freaking juice as you want in a day. And
Uh-huh.
because of the way our body systems function, it's ultimately leading to satisfaction, fullness, and you feel vibrant. And so then you never
Mm,
crash. I mean,
mm,
I literally used to crash. I'd have my coffee and I'd
totally.
come down, and then I'd have some lunch and I'd go up, and then I would come down way down at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and be like, I need something.
I
I don't
know.
have crashes anymore. I just have consistent energy all day long, which is
Mm-hmm.
feel so alive because
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing bringing me down. But the lie behind fruit is like, it's messed up.
I know. Yeah, I know.
And man,
It's just also crazy to feel bad to eat something like that when there's so many other things that just are introduced as like could be healthy. And anyway, that's such an annoying topic for me too. It's like don't stop eating fruit because of the sugar.
it's
I
like the
mean,
best sugar for you. And I've learned too that the way that the water is held in fruit is actually the best way for our body to absorb water.
yeah.
It's like H2O3 or something.
Oh, whoa.
The way that it's like molecularly, like the way that we consume,
Held.
the way that it's held and the way that we use it is different than it is when we just drink regular water.
Oh,
And it's
whoa.
way better for us. And so I was like, no one's ever told me about H2O3, or I don't know, that's not even it. That's
Totally. Totally.
it was. I was like, oh my gosh.
I know. I like doing all this thing without trying to like pinpoint what the heck is working for me and just continue doing similar days. And what I can say is s- I've started to, because I spend so much time high vibe and like 5D thoughts, I've started to spend equal or try to spend equal time with the grass and the trees at the park. Like and also not when I'm there or even when I'm doing most things, not thinking up into these thoughts that make me so happy because I realize my human body can't I mean my human body naturally because I spend so much time up there I have to balance it out. And so that's why I get these like spells of just like anxiety and like da, 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 da. It's the opposite literal feeling of this. And it's like no wonder people are considered bipolar or whatever. It's like literally the opposite of this. It's like either I'm up 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 or down down down, but I haven't had that in a really long time because really long is in like at least a few months, which is long for me because I've been consciously realizing that up also needs grounding. So now I've started to enjoy grounding processes like yoga, like being in the grass with the trees, listening to music while just like laying, looking at the sun. I mean, looking at the sun, looking at the sky. I've never done that stuff. I had never, ever, ever done that. And now I'm doing it and it feels so good.
Do you remember this? Do you remember how I showed you like the one and the one, the two,
Oh, yeah.
two becomes the triangle? And
Yeah.
to ground it down to make the
Yeah.
four. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
this is you in your 5D, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
your way of grounding it down. And I think this journey can be anxiety inducing because that the vibe, like the resonance is different. The
Totally.
of what's the resonance of what's in between is different. Earth
Yes.
is not. The earth and up here are like the same.
Right.
The path between the two, that's like you've got to like navigate this thing that's almost
Exactly.
a block in a way. Like
Yes.
this thing that you have to like get yourself through, like to get this down to earth. And then once you're in the earth, you're like, oh,
Oh.
but it's
Mm-hmm.
matrixy crap in between that
Mm-hmm.
feel anxious. Like
Mm.
like this, like this isn't gonna fit. It's not gonna fit. It's not gonna
I
fit.
know, I know, it's crazy. It's and that it you're right. And it's like before I would something about my human design causes me to have as much energy as I as I need to continue to work, even though it's not the best thing for me. I can't exactly remember what it is, but basically what I would normally do with that tense energy, or that like, what am I doing here? What am I doing? I would continue going up and up and up for more and more and more and more and more. And then I would just come down and be like, but I want it all now. And it's obviously not going to happen right now, you know? And so all that energy now, instead of being so, it feels like almost like lightning, just like striking. It's just like calm, cool, calm. It's it's like the first time I've been calm, I think, in a very long time.
because you're down to the earth.
Exactly. And I'm like working on the projects that are right in front of me. I'm doing things that are really fun for me, instead of working for projects that are like a year down the road, you know. Understanding that these little day-to-day tasks that I'm doing now will lead to that, the culmination of that, you know. So those are the downloads I'm kind of getting. They're not the same downloads which are coming straight from heaven. They're just like, yeah, just be here in the grass, talking to whoever you're talking to at the time, you know? It's really cool.
Which is, I mean, if you think about that word
Right.
being present is, and in the present is where you receive your presence,
Mm-hmm.
right? Present,
Mm-hmm.
where we can live with our gifts. And it keeps going back to, for me, I keep seeing this, like in so many conversations I'm having, the creating the container and the staying solidly in who we are thing, and not being so willing to be wide. Like I picture a lighthouse, you know, like the widest part of the beam versus the really concentrated part. The more I pull myself back to just being okay with being right here, like what's right
Mm-hmm.
against me, the more solid I feel. And I think
Totally.
that just makes us this really strong magnetic force where it's like, oh, okay, I'm right here. I can do the work because I've literally got everything I need close to me. Whereas, like you were saying, it used to be before where it was kind of like I was floating around and I'd have to grasp at the things I was needing that day ish, kind of
Right.
separated, segmented
Right.
a little bit, which was beautiful in its own way. But it was very much like, well, today I feel the urge to do this, and then the next day it could be a totally different urge. Today, now it feels a little bit more like
Mm-hmm.
here, where it's like, oh,
Exactly.
it can all be together. Like this can be
Right.
a unified force, and it feels
Right.
like a force field that's tighter and stronger. I've been feeling that for the past month, probably.
For sure. Me too. And I attribute it to the fact that well, here's what I've I'm reflecting back now, seeing like all of my new conversations or new relationships with people or just interactions have felt so like golden. Have yours? Random, like my hygienist yesterday, my literal dental hygienist, she was the coolest person. And if I didn't lean into that energy, I would have missed out on this. Like, she was so funny. She was so absolutely funny. And, we ended up talking about what we want to do with our lives. And she has such a cool calling on her life. And I don't know, it's just like my old way might have been seen that as like a dentist appointment. You know what I mean? And it's not that.
Because now you're seeing everything as like this opportunity for magic, right?
Everything, everything, everything.
And that's what I was texting you about the other day, where I was like, oh my God, like I knew this. Now I know what it feels like to live with God, like this close to me. And it feels like,
Totally.
did I type up my Harry Potter stuff? I don't know if I told you about
No, no. I
that.
love Harry Potter
Okay, I've never loved Harry Potter.
though.
Like
Okay.
into it. I was a school teacher right when Harry Potter was coming out, and he was like, "Oh, have your kids read Harry Potter," and I was like, "Eh." I've never, I've never found an attraction to it. And so, the one day I was sitting here and I was like, "I have to watch Harry Potter." I was like, "It's like 12 o'clock on a Monday or something," and I was like, "I gotta go watch Harry Potter." I don't know,
Exactly.
but it just came on to me. Like it was just,
Ooh, I got chills.
yep. And I was like, okay, I'll go watch Harry Potter. So I started watching it. My kids were not with me that day. They were with their dad, and they were like, "Oh, what'd you do today?" I'm like, "I watched Harry Potter," and they go, "By yourself?" It's like, yeah.
Yeah,
And they go, "Well, what did you think?" Because they've never been into it, because I've never been into it. Like it's never been our jam.
totally.
Like, it's amazing. We have to watch these, and so now we're on a kick of watching them. But what I realized is, I think God put it on my path to remind me that we're magic. Like we're
Right.
really wizards, and like I hate the word witches because it has that connotation to it, but like we're magical beings and we're
Mm-hmm.
all the time. It's just that like
Mm-hmm.
it's just a moment of almost like that lightning thing that's on Harry's head. Like It's like you have to
Mm,
get struck by the lightning to remember it.
mm, absolutely.
Now I know
I,
like I mean I knew it out here, but now I know it
right.
in here.
Yeah. And like, I think a lot of the times that have stopped me from doing things like that is productivity that, but that is totally not in my ecosystem anymore, but for a long time, yeah. But it's funny that you say that, because Julia and I find ourselves watching Maleficent like often, or just like random fairy tale type movies, because I also think, other than just getting the inspiration right then and there, if you really think about it, think about J.K. Rowling's, like, aside from anything to do with her person, like, think about the inspiration that came to her. Like, she was tapping into something. All of these creative, everything that's creative and hits public resonates at some level. So even people who aren't tuned in the way me and you are tuned in, always thinking, seeking, searching, they obviously found something fantastical with Harry Potter. So I like to tune into the person who created it, and I'm like, whoa, you were on to some shit. Like, wow.
And they had the discipline to do it because like I've been hit with things before too, and I'm like, yeah, I was too
Right,
out there scattered to actually bring it together and make it a thing. But
right.
people somehow, like she somehow was like, boom, I'm putting this down on paper, and then look what
Totally,
like
totally.
and just totally like catapulted her. It was phenomenal.
Totally, totally. Yeah, there's a lot of things there though too. I think kind of your role feels like in person, talking, communing with people. Not that hers isn't, but I feel like some people are meant and destined and love to have the door closed in their lab, whatever that may be, you know. And then some are more out. So, but for people like you and I would say that is the challenge, just the discipline to like put it on paper. Actually, no, not even put it on paper. Give it to the world. You know
Yes,
what I mean?
yes.
That's what it is. I think it's easy for me to put it on paper, but not to actually publish.
Oh, I put things on paper.
Exactly, exactly.
That. It's just a matter of me sharing it with people. That seems like where's the value in it? And what I'm realizing right now, and like really beginning to get inside of me is that even if one other person in the whole world, I mean, think about how many freaking people there are in the world. Even if one other person benefits from the thing I say that day on a video or whatever I post, that's
Hmm.
all I need. Like
Totally,
all it needs to be is shared to somebody who receives it on the other end.
totally, totally, totally.
That person is, what they even do with it. I mean, but you just never know. You never know what your words might do to somebody. And the thing that like what I want to say to you right now, when you write stuff and you put it on Instagram and like I'll read just like your poem, a small poem or whatever, it turns something on inside of other people. Even
Mm,
if it's not that that poem resonates, it's the ability for you to be creative because you can feel the creative essence when people
right.
speak. So it's like I appreciate what you've put up and I usually fall in love with that, but I also fall in love with the energy under it.
Yes. Oh, that gave me chills.
And then that sparks it inside of me.
Totally,
Lift up my thing. You know what I mean?
totally, totally.
It's just it's such contagious magic. It really is
Ah,
contagious.
that thank you for that reflection. That's such a good reflection, because I never want to go down as like the world's best poet. Like, or it's
You can't force
poetry.
what
Poetry for me is more of an outlet. I'm also getting into pottery. That's like going to be more of an outlet. Like, all these creative endeavors are an outlet for me, and so I've always felt like my energy was like, go do your outlet, so then maybe our outlets could combine and create something crazy, so that's such an accurate, of course. See, for not everyone has the ability to put words together the way that you do. So like, when you reflect something back, it's like I can think with my frontal lobe about that, instead of just feel good about someone reflecting back. So I love when you reflect back to me things like that, because I want someone to read I often post things like, oh, I'm at the park. I'll post like I'm at the park, and then there'll be a sequence of like tons of creative random things come through, because I'm just like doing that. And I want not to be seen for what I created, but to be like, oh wow, like, what is he on right now? Like, I want some of that. Right. Yeah, exactly.
and it's the vibe. It's literally like what wave is he riding? Because
Exactly.
I want to hop on that same wave and ride it.
Yes, because it's the fun wave. It's like the enjoy your life wave.
It's God. It's
It's
creation.
God. It's
It's
creation.
literally creation, and we are creation. It is God. It is breath, prana. It is. It's
Totally.
it's what life is. It's
Totally.
so even like that whole riding the wave thing. It's like I want to ride that same wave, or at least I
Totally.
want to have the same feeling of
Yes.
riding a wave just like that. I'm
Your
still,
version.
but I'm gonna, yeah, but I want that same feeling. Like
Yes.
I remember going to Broadway and just watching the actors and people, the performers on stage, and just being like, I didn't necessarily want to be up there and like sing like they did or whatever, but I wanted
Right.
to feel what they were. I could tell they were feeling, which was expansion. And I didn't even
Right.
know at the time. I was just like, I want that. I want that
Right.
they've got. And I didn't know what it was, but I was like, oh, I want to, I can tell how they're feeling right now. They're like alive and radiating. They're like vibrating on this huge level. I want that.
Totally.
I know I'm not going to do it that way because I don't have a voice for crap.
Right.
I can't act, but like I can do
Right.
something that makes me feel that way. So what is the thing
Right.
that makes me up? Like what is that thing? And that's like what when you're putting your stuff on like when you're seeing somebody else's
Hmm.
witnessing it, you're witnessing their radiation is almost
Right.
you're witnessing.
Right. Right. I'm witnessing their radiation.
So they're witnessing whatever you
They're
put.
witnessing. Yeah, right. 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 Right.
Somebody else's creation, you're witnessing their radiation, right?
Oh, yes.
Like their vibration of being like, "Ooh," that's
Wow.
at least. And then it kind of like you can see the waves just kind of come back and hit me, as the,
Totally.
and then it kind of like activates that inside of me. It's like when people do a roll,
Totally. Totally.
and you're like, "Oh yeah, me too."
No, no, absolutely. And that's why my whole like model of the way I'm structuring my life and my business is like, I don't have to monetize off of that. That's free because that's free for me. So it's free for you too. Now, if I channel that into some products that you enjoy, then there you go. So that's what feels good for me personally. I know some people are really feel called to like coaching and stuff, but for that reason, I'm not so called because I just feel like it's like the new economy. Information's free. Like, and honestly, if you look at it, like if you look at everything that's going on with blockchain and all basically technology, have you ever heard of Discord, Clubhouse? All these apps are basically there to connect people to the masses of some certain topic and just give information. Like I just joined a Discord chat about this one particular like blockchain technology, which I'm not well versed in it at all. I'm learning, but all they're doing is like talking. Like, I did this worked, this worked, this worked, because everyone's building. So the more you share, the more you give, which is the total opposite of what it used to be, which is like the more you um, you know, put together on the back end and like, and then like present it like you just are a miracle to the world or something. It's like, that's all dying. So I'm riding that wave of like free information and let's see what comes back.
So,
And
and this is one of the groups that I'm a part of too. Same concept. It's like information isn't even ours, right? Information
right,
comes through us. So it's like, how do you charge for information when it's
right,
not really yours, right?
totally,
So if you take that information and you bind it into a book, then obviously you sell the book. If you take that information and you bind it into, I don't know, something else, like a song, then yeah,
right,
song, whatever. Where I struggle with that is when I'm doing the work for somebody one on one, it's like my time. And
totally,
so that's kind of what I charge for. Like
right,
the information does come through me, but I'm charging for my time. And then I get a little mixed up with it because it's like, well, can you really charge for time? And
totally, totally,
it's a little hairy for me. And then I'm like, well, also, it's all the things I've learned, all the money I've put into like all of my stuff that I've
totally.
the yoga, like all the different certifications I've gotten, the books I've read, all the time and energy
Hmm.
I spent trying to get to this point. So it's a little
Hmm.
hard for me to figure out sometimes. I shouldn't say figure out. It's hard for me to fully drop into the value of what I offer.
Yeah.
It's so vague and like
Well,
material.
yeah,
Does that make
I
sense?
think that's the point.
I know.
Yes, no, absolutely. I think that that's the point with you is that you've put all that information inside of this one vessel. And then when you just experience you have knowledge, but then also inspiration. And then there's also like lots of air energy with you. It's like you kind of have like the full spectrum with you. So it's almost to me, again, like whatever, take this for how you see it. But like, to me, putting a price on the time with you is like almost devaluing you, no matter what price it is. That structure to me would feel like it's devaluing you, because it's like there's no price that's gonna, like, what are you gonna, personally, I would be like, you should charge $5,000 an hour. But that's because like that's what you get. That's what you receive when you speak to you. When I'm assuming when you tap in totally to someone else's energy, like you just gave me a reflection that helped me beyond, and that was a minute of your time. So I also I'd have to ask you if you are happy with where you're at in it, with your expression, and like with the payback that the universe gives you back, or that God gives you back, or whatever. Like, because if there's a little bit of sticky energy, then that's what wants attention. Like, what is that stick? You know what I mean? I've learned a lot of that from Amanda.
I know, and I'm still working through that, because it's like I would go down the path of shadow contract with that, right? It's like,
Right.
oh, not me. I'm not.
Right.
Just me.
Right.
I'm just
Right.
me.
Right. 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 Right.
I'm beginning to grow out of that, because the more I work with people one on one as my own clients,
Yeah.
energy work, and whenever I go to do energy work, it's never energy work. It's not like someone just
Right.
has a Reiki session. It's like all this stuff,
Totally. Totally. Yeah.
completely a healing session. So the more I do that, the more I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was powerful. And
Totally.
trying to understand what the gift is. Whereas before I wasn't practicing that. And so I couldn't see what the gift was, if that makes
No,
sense.
totally. Totally. And I'm not saying, I also want to clarify too, because I realize sometimes when I say this that I need to clarify, like, I'm not saying that there is, the power is in the ability to structure the container, because that's what people are paying for. Like, someone could experience me and have all the fun in the world or whatever, but like, if I'm not giving one-on-one time. Some people need that container, or one-on-two, or group, or whatever. And I could channel my energy into that and do that, and I would feel good about that. But to call myself a coach, of anything just blatantly doesn't feel good, because I don't feel like I'm coaching. I just feel like I'm expressing. Now, if I had a client, I would still call that person my client. Does that make sense? So there's so much value in the container. And I think that that's where the coaches, or the energy healers, or the workers, or whatever, that's where they express their creativity.
Yeah.
Like, how cool can it be to experience you?
Yeah. I picture it like hiring a Sherpa to like climb a mountain. That's kind of what I feel like I do.
Someone called me a Sherpa one time. I never really knew what a Sherpa was. I mean, I did, but I didn't. And now I'm like, yeah, now it makes sense. Exactly, like a Sherpa.
You're like a Sherpa. It's like, hey, I've traversed this trail a lot of times, and I know what to do. I know the trail
Right.
to take with us. And more than anything, I can see you getting to the top of your mountain more than
Exactly.
you getting to
Exactly. Oh, I have that chills.
yeah. So like that
Yeah.
belief in your success is sometimes, because sometimes that's what we need, especially like I know in the
Hmm.
years that's what I needed from my coach, was like I needed someone to see me the way that I couldn't quite see me yet,
Yeah. Yeah.
to be a few steps ahead of me, being like, hey, no. And when that thought comes up, you know that that's because of that other thing. So you know that not to count that into the equation. It was just her reminding me who I was
Yes.
going to, until the point where I was like, oh, I got this. And
Yes.
I remember
And that and that's where the value of a coach comes in, because the what's the word I'm looking for? The
self-fulfilling prophecy.
no, when someone checks up on you, and
Uh,
like someone keeps you accountable, accountability. The accountability is where the container keeps it tight, which I think is so rad. But as a friend, me talking to you, I think the beauty that you're going to bring to this world is a web, not just a one-on-one. You will continue to do one-on-one, I think, but the web, the whole web that you're spinning, that's what's coming through. Because of all this I don't feel called necessarily to have so much information at my in me. I really feel called to outsource a lot. But I see it, you have so much information on any healing modality, and so like, to spin that web would be very, very powerful. Someone just comes into whatever web it be, whether it be the app or whatever, someone just comes in and immediately gets plugged in. It's like really quick, 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 quick.
and that's developing. Like that's like in the
I
process
know.
of it's
Right.
happening. Like, and it's
Hmm.
you were saying before about like how you wanted it to be immediate, and that's what I want it to. I was like, I have it. I have what I do. I have it. I
Right.
have it. Like, boom. and then
Right.
it didn't happen yet. So like
And then, yeah,
now I'm in the
yeah.
process, like you said, of being like, okay, what does today look like in terms of building that? Like, how does the web look? Even a spider,
Mm,
how a spider built, spins the web. It's not like boom, it's done. It takes time, and
totally.
so taking that time, and I realized that the slower I go, the more quality I get. Like
Hmm.
there's people I want to pull into this web who I want to be
Hmm.
buyers of stuff, and initially I had in my mind I was like, ooh, that person and that person for sure. And now that I'm hanging with those people a little bit, and I'm starting to see the behind the scenes a little bit, I'm like, oh, they looked like the shiny object, but they don't have the backing. Like
Exactly.
the richness that I really want to be a part of my, you're calling it a web, like,
Yeah.
my nation, my
Your
ecosystem.
magic, your magic. Yeah.
And so just the slowing down part's been really cool because I was like, oh, the Vata in me just wants to like wind, like right over there,
Right.
get it out there because the world needs it now.
Totally, totally, totally.
And realizing that like, no, you don't, what came to me the other day? I was hiking and I was picturing the tortoise and the hare story. I was like, why is this vision coming to me? All I could picture was the tortoise and the hare from when I was a little girl. I used to read that fable a lot. I was like, why am I picturing this in my head? And I realized later, I was like, God gave me that vision because I'm supposed to reflect on it.
Right.
Like I'm
Totally.
the tortoise, and
Totally.
realizing all these beautiful things about the tortoise. Like as I was hiking, I was like, the tortoise carries the whole world on its back.
Totally.
Flies close to the earth, and like
Right.
all these things were coming to me. And it could be in water and on land, and like all this cool stuff was happening. It was kind of cool. Um, but yeah, so I agree. I think that like but having conversations like this I love because it helps us it helps to have that mirror, the reflection,
Uh-huh.
like
Yeah.
your
Our paths are so on
you're
too.
so on, and like your creativity is just, you're an example to the world is what you are.
Oh, that's so nice.
that's why
That's so,
that's why you're a Sherpa, because you're going ahead and
yeah.
you're laying out the trail for other people.
Yeah.
You're a trailblazer in that way.
Oh, that is like really sweet because yeah, I received that. Like that's super sweet. I just want if I believe in it, if I believe in heaven on earth, if I believe in, you don't have to go about your daily ritual of self-sabotaging yourself to the ground, you just don't. I had a lot of those and still do. So if I believe in it and I show it, then I have to, not have to, but I choose to continue to live it. And then it just fuels more and more and more and more and more. And the more people that resonate, the better. I mean, great. The more people that resonate, the better. One thing I was going to say about our Vata energy is a lot of times, and especially choosing people to work with, a lot of times I have shot from the hip so impulsively and been like, oh, whoa, I was talking to them in maybe 3 years. You know what I mean? Like I'm not ready to pursue that project with that person. And that's on me because I'm so like, oh yes, let's go. You have the skill. But it's almost like for me, I've taken it as like almost it's short-sighted on my end because I didn't see that they weren't at a place to receive things yet. You know what I mean? Just like I'm not at a place to receive certain things from other people. So yeah, impulsive energy is leaving for me.
What I do want to say about that Vata energy is like, let's not totally dismiss it, because part of the beauty
Totally.
is that it is so expansive that it can reach up to higher dimensions. And that's
Totally.
what I think I'm realizing now about myself that I struggled with for so many years of my life was I was ahead of the curve. I have been picturing heaven on earth since I was like 4 years old,
Yeah.
and frustrated to the point of horrible sadness that it wasn't happening.
Right.
Why? Like my question was always why? Why is it like this? Why is it like this? Like why can't people be like this? Why can't the world be like this? Why do people do that to animals? Why do people do that to nature? Like it was always that way for me, but it's because I think we are these like old souls who have known a higher level. And that's what that Bata allows us to do, is like to reach back into like our ancestral knowing, reach out into other dimensions. And then, but our job is like that number 4. It is to pull that heaven down to earth. And in a lot of
Yeah.
this conversation is about is being more present, is
Yeah.
present and just being like that tortoise and the hare thing, like the turtle, like one step at a time is how we get things done in this 3D world. Maybe not in the
Yeah.
other dimensions, but as we live right now, it is still moving time and space, which is a denser energy than we're
Hmm.
defining the ideas.
Totally.
And bring light into matter.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
Like
To- totally.
it's like it's a thing. But we also know, this is the Harry Potter part, we also know it's possible. Like we
Mm-hmm.
know that we can alchemize things, and
Mm-hmm.
otherwise what would all that motivation and ideas, like what would all that be for?
Yeah, no, I know that's the reason Bata is the reason we're talking right now. Like it's my inspiration and my muse, totally. It's like you have it all. Now go play. Go play on this earth where things move a little slower than what you want them to, or what you know them to. So I feel you on that 100%. Like the whole reason of my being is Vata energy. Similar to you, and honestly meeting you was definitely we signed up for this, you know, like I knew I would need a friend like you that had such a seemingly similar path to me, because I swear that since I knew how to think with my frontal lobe about God, I just had him right here. Him, her, me, all of it right here. Been like, you're not leaving my side. Like, no, we are one. No matter what I end up believing in, and then transcending, and then including that, and then transcending that, and then including that. I've never, I remember saying that at my Christian school, freshman year Christian school. We were going around, like, it was so funny. We were going around, and the RA was like, so, like, I know that, you know, whatever we deal with losing Jesus sometimes or losing God sometimes, he wanted to tell our stories about that, and I was like, honestly, I don't ever feel like I've lost him once, never. And I'm just being honest, I've always felt a direct connect, you know. And so I totally resonate with you being 4 years old, like same thing, just always knew. So it's amazing. And the fact that we're now slowing down, it seems, not slowing down, but hmm, becoming better at our craft, right? We're honing our craft, that's what it is.
Yeah,
We're honing our craft. It's really cool. We're whittling away.
we really are. I mean, like, it's so exciting to me. I really have goosebumps on my legs right now. Like,
I
it's
know, I know.
excitement over it. It's like that wind beneath your wings feeling. And
Mm-hmm.
it is. It's just like God's got me. God's got my wings. And like, yes, I'm gonna have pitfalls in life that feel hard. And these
Totally.
things are always gonna pop up to try to like derail us, right? And
Totally.
I used to buy into it. I used to believe the 3D thing. I'd be like, oh my God, you're right. I'm terrible at finances, and then I would shrink down and get small and turn my light off.
Right. Yeah.
There's something happening right now. I don't know if it's just the planet or what, but it's like,
Mm.
like no,
Mm-hmm. No. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
charge, no. It's
Totally.
a totally different vibe. And when you say that about Jesus, I never had a connection with Jesus. I
Mm-hmm.
connected with the earth. I was more like the shamanic stuff, like Mother Nature,
Mm.
like dolphins, whales, going
Mm.
down into the earth, right?
Cool.
My thing always. And I love the sky too. So like my God was always in nature, always since I was a little girl.
Mm.
Always. And I had cool experiences too when I was little. But um, what I think is happening right now, this is what happened to me. So I read this book. I don't have it right here. Shucks, it's out in the other room. It's called Anna, Grandmother of Jesus. And I read this back in the fall, right? Anna, Grandmother of Jesus is a story of literally Anna, who was Jesus's grandmother, talking about who she was for the hundreds and hundreds of years that she lived, the children that she had, the way that Yeshua, Jesus, came to be.
Mm.
And then she tells the story, and this is the first time in my life at age 44 that I ever heard this story, that the story of the resurrection, the crucifixion, the resurrection was staged.
Mm.
And I was like, what? Like,
What?
I was led to believe that Jesus was a victim, right? And that he was like this martyr who like sacrificed his life, which he did. But I understood it in this like dark way of like, oh, this was sad and all this bad stuff happened to this poor wonderful man. And then
Right.
inside of me, I put that resonance, that story of like a really good person who was doing a really good thing, got nailed to a cross and died. I put that
Yeah.
story in me. And literally I became the good person who was always trying to do something, who kept getting crucified.
Oh God. Wow. That is a beautiful insight.
And then I read
Yeah, that's what you texted me about the other day.
then I read this book back in the fall and I was like, whoa, this book is about how they were part of the Essenes and they learned all these like they were mystics, is who Anna and Mary and Jesus and the whole bunch were. They were these mystics who studied in like the Egyptian mystery schools. They learned from the yogis. They had all this mysticism under their wings. And so they used to practice the rite of the sepulchre, which was going into the pyramids, into a sepulchre, like a, like a coffinish type of thing,
Mm.
slowing down their heart rate and raising their consciousness up to a point where they could
Jeez.
still be alive, but their body would slow down to the point of seeming death.
Wow.
And then in these pyramid structures, and like you can look up when they talk about pyramids, they have like these rooms inside of them. There would be a person there who was part of this whole thing, and they would kind of watch over the body, and they would wrap the body in like the mummification type of thing to keep the skin from drying out. They would put
Wow.
little tissue across the nose so that the person who was keeping watch over the body would know when the spirit came back into the body, because it would start breathing, like the cloth would go up and down. And I was like, they were practicing magic,
Right. Oh, for sure.
practicing death, and they were practicing this. They were practicing leaving their bodies, coming back into
Yeah.
leaving their bodies, and when they would leave, they would go out to multiple dimensions out there and connect with all these masters and energies that we
Wow.
don't even conceive of, right? So Anna tells a story about how they did that, and then obviously Jesus learned how to do this as well. And so they actually heard from God that this is something that humans needed to learn. They needed to have an example of a human on earth who had lived this way and who could transcend death, right? And
Mm.
the beginning of a whole new era on earth. And so the story of Jesus being crucified was staged. Like Judas didn't just sell out Christ or Jesus, Judas was part of the plan.
Oh
It was
my God.
a plan, right? And so Jesus kind of gave himself up willingly. Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary, Anna, they all were there to like watch and like support on a very etheric level, to support Jesus's like rising, all this stuff that happened, right? And so over Easter, I had read that stuff back in like September or October, right? Had it in my heart, felt kind of a newfound love for Jesus, because I was like, oh, I vibe with these people now. Like
Totally. Yeah. You see yourself in it.
this
Yeah.
thing, I get all this. Like I've done shaman
Right.
work, I've done all this kind of stuff. I get this. Like, and it sounded so like absolutely, when I was reading it, I was like, well, that makes sense to me. No one has ever told me the story this way. This story makes sense.
Totally.
Over Easter, it came into my body. Like the way that Jesus had lived inside of me literally died the old way, literally
Mm.
died. Like the victim, the martyr, it all died. And inside
Wow.
this like everlasting life feeling, this mastery came inside of me, where I was like, something has changed. Like something literally
Mm.
has resurrected. I could cry right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Mm.
so, it was, it was amazing. I don't really know another word,
God.
but it was,
God, that's beautiful.
it was like I changed the internalized story that I had held on to for 40 years, 40 plus years.
Mm.
And it changed into this story of magic. And that's right around when I was told to watch Harry Potter. And
Wow.
oh my God, this stuff is happening. And then you and Amanda had a conversation, your
Uh,
last conversation together, that combined
uh,
to what was going on. And I was like, I'm covering goosebumps right now. Like they're literally,
wow. 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 Wow.
there's a magical thing happening inside of me right now. And it definitely is, Jesus is with me, like right
For sure.
now.
Oh, yeah.
And I never knew that.
Yeah.
I never knew that feeling. And that
You
feeling,
never knew that energy. You never knew Jesus energy.
no,
Oh, isn't it cool? Jesus energy is
I mean,
fucking cool.
it's really like having a best friend, a lover, a father, like all in one, like right here.
Yeah. Oh man, I tear up too because he was the first one that connected me with myself. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
Jesus is, yeah,
Amazing.
amazing. Yeah, Jesus is, his energy is like exactly what you said. A best friend, a father. I like him because he's funny as hell. Like if like he's pretty what we would say in modern society, like savage. He's pretty savage. People coming and telling him like, hey, why are you eating with them? Why? And he's like, shut up, stop,
Yeah.
stop it, stop that energy, stop it right now. And I don't know, he's become so polarizing. It's interesting how he's so polarizing and someone like Buddha isn't so polarizing. I think it's just like the times or whatever, or maybe also Buddha's energy doesn't feel confrontational. That's probably why too.
That's
Jesus does. That's what?
that's why we needed Jesus.
That's, yeah, Jesus had different type of energy, but same, we're all same thing, same thing. Yeah.
Buddha was so much more about like just going inside and being peace.
Yeah.
And Jesus
Yeah.
was like a warrior who was like,
Yeah.
oh, you also have to like love isn't just peace. This is the other lesson I've been learning in the last month. Love isn't peace and it's not soft. Sometimes
Yeah.
is like the rainbow of emotions. Like sometimes love is just truth and it is just
Totally.
powerful and it is just standing for what's right, like righteousness, like
Yeah.
that's what Jesus did. He was like, I'm not going to be mean about this, but I sure as heck am not going to just soften in the face of what I see as horrible. Like, no, the answer is
Right.
the
Right.
answer is no.
Yeah.
Do it that way.
Yeah. That's interesting that Jesus is coming up so much right now, obviously because of Easter, but then with you, I mean, in this way so much right now because I've had a couple of like interesting interactions with some like friends that are more uh Christian, more Christian. And it just reminded me of my connection with Jesus. Like, because I kind of got like a little bit irked at a comment someone said to me. And whenever you get irked, you have to look at why you got irked. You know what I mean? And then his comment was just basically like, I want, I'm thinking about you and, I'm thinking about you basically, but it had different energy behind it. And so I was just like, okay, why is that bothering me? Am I going too far? What is too far? What does that mean? So I spent the whole time in my head and I remembered, oh yeah, no, none of that. None of that. Like that's also that self-doubt thing, taking in other people's opinions. That is my mix this lifetime. That is my mix. Taking in other people's opinions too much, dimming my own light, being smaller, you know, being less Jesus like, literally, is my whole mix. And so like that was a reminder to be like, oh, okay, 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 okay. This is all okay. We're doing it. You know what I mean? And so that like that affirmative that affirmative little confrontation like really just like helped me solidify what I'm doing, and it just felt good because who doesn't have when you're putting yourself out there vulnerably, who doesn't have people disagreeing with them? That is not a real thing.
Yeah. Nor should
Yeah,
be. There should always be a variety of opinions, like
right. Totally.
sharpen each other is by challenging and having differing opinions about things. I mean, I would love to think that everyone has one core truth.
Totally.
That's my favorite vision is okay, we
Yeah.
all kind of have like our angles that we come at it, but we all have one core goal and one core truth, right?
Yeah.
Be kind, to be loved,
Yeah.
to do
To be
right.
seen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would hope is like the center part. And then yeah, there's all these different expressions of how we get to that, different ideas of what paths you take to get to that center point. But sort of all common goal would be ideal. It's not always
Totally.
reality yet, but maybe,
Totally.
and in the world I'm creating in my head, it sure as heck is. You said something
Yeah.
about kind of knowing what you want to do and just sticking with it, like
Yeah.
the idea of
Yeah.
feeling into it. And I think that's really important too. Like Jesus helps me to remember what to feel. Like
Exactly. Wow.
it's like helping me to have a compass where it's like I think Jesus knew where he was going. You know what I mean?
Totally.
He knew where he was going. He knew where he wanted people to follow. He didn't beg anyone to follow him, right? It was like,
Yeah.
listen, listen. If you don't,
Right.
whatever. I'm not going to go seek you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pull you out of a.
Yeah.
You got to listen. You got to listen. So
Yeah.
me too about my own voice. Like speak it and trust that it's going to land on the right ears. And
Right.
people who it doesn't resonate with, they're just going to not listen. It's okay. That's
Totally.
the first thing that they just
Right.
you know
Right.
kind of know always know where are you going and never stray from that direction. Like make sure that you always know, even if your curvy path happens, if you get thrown off, you still know where you're trying to go, right? Jesus always knew that. He knew where he was going and what he stood for. So if I can
Totally.
get inside of me, it seems like such a clear roadmap.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. I love that you're even picking up on the energy from a recent integration with him. You're already picking up on that. It's because we can if we want to tap in. And okay, this is really what I want to embody, and then hopefully other people, well, not hopefully, I know it'll happen, other people will see that this is an ability. Like, you need Jesus in your life, bring him in. He's there. You need Buddha energy in your life. It's all energies. You need crystal energy in your life. Like you need whatever Nicole energy brings, call Nicole. It's like it's all about using your resources. So right now, I think people like us are in a time where Jesus makes a lot of sense. Like his like, no, this is what I'm doing. Like it's definitely needed. I think that's the energy in the air right now. I feel super supported, super supported.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that there's something about the time on earth right now where like that vibe of Jesus coming back really is true. It really is.
Yeah,
It's the masculine being balanced. You know, Jesus wasn't this like rah, like dictator.
right.
He was really
No,
right. And
totally.
as a woman, me allowing a masculine side to come up and birth inside of me, because I've been so feminine my whole life. I've been such a receiver and a taker inner and a nurturer and all that. So if I'm trying to move into a little bit more masculinity in my life, because I need
Hmm.
in the structure and the empowerment,
Right.
of course Jesus is going to come in because he's
Mm,
pure masculine. Like
totally.
greatest gift for me to have that come in, because every other time I tried to pull in masculine energy to help me stay more disciplined, to get my business going, all that stuff, it would fall
Hmm.
flat because it wasn't
Yeah,
the right masculine. It has to be this masculine.
it has to be restored.
It has to be restored. It has to be balanced. It has to be divine masculine.
Uh,
It has to be Jesus like. It just makes
uh,
sense to me. And it's also why I feel in the last couple of weeks why I'm like there's this empowerment that has come in that just feels balanced and clean. It doesn't
totally.
anything. It just feels so right.
So good, right? I know. I feel I feel same. We're on the same page.
It's so
Yeah.
good, dude.
This you bring me good. You bring me lots of you bring me lots of validation. Lots of that word has not the connotation I'm looking for. Witness. You bring me lots of witness. And I posted a video recently on YouTube that was like, hey, all you spiritual people, stop telling people to go inside when you don't even know what that means yourself.
Mm,
You bring me a lot of that good energy. Like you and I seem to jump off of duality, like bounce off duality. Like when something gets too far this way, bring it back this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way, this way. And luck and thank God, thank it all that we don't get stuck certain places.
yeah.
Well, maybe we get stuck, but we're not stuck here. We so stuck we can't go this way. So I think our role is to that is polarizing. That is polarizing itself. It's a polarizing role. I see that. I obviously know that for me, and I see that in you too. But it's a beautiful, beautiful role.
I keep seeing the four. Remember? Do you remember me showing you how the four turned into the five? And
I remember the whole sequence and how you like to decode. Well, what do you think about 9? I have to ask you this before I have to go because I met this person, really quick story. I met this person yesterday at a crystal shop, like a metaphysical shop, and another divine encounter. He was just like working there, whatever. I started talking to him and he starts opening his mouth about astrology and expressing about astrology, and he is so tapped in about astrology. It's crazy what he knows. And so he did a whole, like, he sent me basically a page of my energy, and he was like, it all comes down to a 9. And so yeah, so like, what do you know about 9? What is that 9?
I feel like nine is a lot like four. Like, do you?
Yeah.
Nine's a lot like four because so like okay, this is how I see it. So, and six and nine are sort of the same. So, six to me was like there's this karmic loop that we keep going around, right?
Yeah.
You have to choose to go up to God. We have to
Yes.
dash up to the heavens, right? We spend
Yeah.
time up there, we ground that heavenly energy back down, and then eventually, so that turns into the 7, that comes back down, and then we begin to spin the 8, right? This
Yeah.
like energy of like Kundalini, right? Kundalini,
Yeah.
and it's a balance of heaven and earth, 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 always like united at the heart, right?
Right.
And then 9, see this 9 to me is similar to this, where it's mostly up in the heavens. You're
Yes.
mostly circulating up in the heavens, up with God, but you also are connected down to earth.
Yeah.
And you can continually do this. You can stay up in the heavens, come down to earth, or you can shoot from earth up into the heavens. So it's
Yes.
all about living in the heavenly realm. And it's
Yes.
completion then, because the numbers really just go they go 1 to 9.
1 to 9.
And then like 10 would become going back to the 1 and adding a 0 to it. So
Right.
it's a lot about being in the divine realm to me. That's what I do.
Yeah.
9 is like you've mastered the path. And
Yeah.
to live in the divine realm. That's what
And
I
it's
like. It could not be what anybody else believes.
no, totally. Well, that's exactly what he said. So, and he takes into account so many different modalities, numerology, the way it reflects in astrology, all of it. And the way I see that is like, it's no wonder that my life's call feels to be putting this on display and letting the energy, of what I give take care of me, allow me to eat, allow me to, you know, have a shelter or whatever. And so I also told Julia one time, I was like, is this my last lifetime? I feel like it might be.
The last time. So
Yeah.
to you, you're like the pathfinder. Like think about
Yeah.
little steps, right? And a person's like, oh, I have to get up there. I'm gonna go to Ricky.
Oh.
Ricky gets me to climb up there and to be up there where I don't usually get to be.
Oh,
That's
dude,
what you do for people, is like you give them a staircase up into this like creative vata heavenly realm. And that's what
I
you
wasn't.
does too.
That's what poetry. Yeah. Oh my God.
Your expression.
Jeez. Nicole, your reflections are so beautiful and so well received. Thank you. I need them. It's people say you don't need, it's all in you, it's all in you. No, you need other divine reflections. You do, because it's just like it hits you different. I could go inside and realize these things, yes, but I'll go take this now next time I go meditate, and I'll meditate on that. So wow, this has been so beautiful.
Because like even like when the beginning of that, when I was first shown the 1, where it's like God like was like, oh, here's 1, right?
Yeah.
If there's nothing for it to bounce off of, if there's not another wall for it to bounce off of, that sound just goes out into like a vacuum and becomes just like nothingness.
Void.
It needs something to bounce off of. So that's why I was shown 1 gets another 1, which becomes the 2.
Yeah.
It's just and that made so much sense to me, where I was like, we literally need a thing to bounce off of. Otherwise, we don't know that we exist.
Totally. Totally. Wow, the energy of our conversation is so cool. Okay, I want to post this for sure, like probably like this weekend, if you're cool with that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, okay, cool. I'll hit you up for all like your links and stuff. And then I was gonna say, yeah, thank you so much for this reflection. And thank you just for our friendship. This is so amazing.
I love our vibes.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
we grow. It's so beautiful.
It is so cool, and it's so different generations, different different ethnicities, different genders, all kinds of stuff, but same. You know what I mean? Same.
Original planet or constellation.
Well, for sure, the same. For sure, the same wherever. And if you figure out where that is, because it's not anything we need to know here on Earth right now. But I love when people are like, "Oh yeah, I know I'm from Sirius." I'm like, "Cool. How did you know that? How do you know that?" Yeah. So. I don't. Maybe we're just not meant to know that because we don't necessarily need to know that. I don't know. But
our comprehension.
yes, exactly.
To say I'm from Sirius. Well, sorta.
What does that mean? I know, right?
Saying I'm Italian. Well, you're also a lot of other stuff.
Right. There's a lot going on here.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
Hear about that when people say those things sometimes.
Totally. Thank you so much. I have to run so quick, but I have a pottery class. Isn't that pretty? Like, I'm pumped. I can't wait. Oh my God. It's literally like molding the earth, think about this grounding energy, creativity. Yes, totally.
With your
yes.
Perfect, because you're touching earth and water.
Exactly. And what time is it? 10:30. Oh,
inspired after that.
Exactly. Isn't it crazy? Pottery's crazy. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, see you later. Bye.
Okay, bye.